Okay, just a few hours ago, Stephen Bertolino, whom is the Laundrie family attorney that was involved in the Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie case, he has just released the contents of the notebook that was an extreme focal point of this case. There is 8 pages that he has released from the notebook that gives the full confession and what happened when Brian Laundrie took his girlfriend, fiancée, Gabby Petito's life. Following, I will read and show these 8 pages and confession from Brian Laundrie. Very current Brian Enton updates. He says there is at least one other Brian Laundrie confession, possibly 2. And this is according to the attorney for the Petito family. One of them, they're told, is on a digital device. And there's also a letter from Roberta Laundrie. When the Petito attorney was interviewed, he said, to his surprise, when he showed up to the FBI to get the evidence, there was a letter also from Roberta Laundrie to Brian. And he says that Roberta also wrote, "Burn this letter," after reading it. Brian goes on to say that he has been to the spot where Gabby was killed, and it is right next to the creek that Brian referenced in the letter, and the creek is next to where the van was parked. The van was right there. If she was really hurt, why not take her to a hospital or call someone? Brian said that he did indeed have cell service when he was there, saying that he was also reminded that the cell service was in fact so good that we were able to stream the Bethune's vlog video on YouTube from the spot. I was using that video to pinpoint exactly where the van was. He goes on to say that this is the creek, and again, there was full cell service, and the van was to the right of me up a small hill, maybe 1-minute walk from this very spot, and less than a 10-minute walk from where her body was. So let's read Brian's confession in his notebook, and let me know below what you think about this. I think it is very interesting to just found out less than an hour ago that Roberta Laundrie had also written her son. The very interesting part is telling him to burn the note after he had read it. Obviously, he did not do that. The Petito family attorney said they were not expecting Stephen Bertolino to be releasing this notebook contents to the public as soon as they have, especially today. However, this is what Stephen Bertolino has did. He also made a statement saying, quote, "Today the Petito family attorney, Patrick Riley, and myself met with the FBI in Tampa to sort through and take possession of the personal items that belonged to Gabby and Brian. This was a previously agreed upon exchange to enable both the Petitos and the Laundries to receive what belonged to their respective children. As part of this return of property in FBI custody, I was given Brian's notebook. I would like to share with the public the note that the FBI alluded to when they said on January the 21st of 2022 that Brian claimed responsibility for the death of Gabby Petito. Gabby, I wish I was right at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now. I'd be going through every memory we made, getting even more excited for the future, but we lost our future. I can't live without you. I've lost every day we could have spent together, every holiday. I'll never get to play with little man again, never go hiking with TJ. I loved you more than anything. I can't bear to look at our photos to recall great times because it is why I cannot go on. When I close my eyes, I will think of laughing on the roof of the van, falling asleep to the sight of the meteor shower at the Crystal Geyser. I will always love you. If you were reading Gab's journal, looking at photos from our life together, and flipping through old cards, you would not want to live a day without her. Knowing that every day you'll wake up without her, you wouldn't want to wake up. I'm sorry to everyone this will affect. Gabby was the love of my life, but I know many adored her. I'm so very sorry to her family because I love them. I'd consider her younger siblings my best friends. I'm so sorry to my family. This is a shock to them as well as a terrible grief. They loved as much, if not more than me, a new daughter to my mother and an aunt to my nephews. Please do not make this harder for them. This occurred as an unexpected tragedy. Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the streams of Spread Creek before it got too dark to see and too cold. I heard a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment, shouted her name, and I found her breathing heavily, gasping very hard. She was freezing cold. We had just came from the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperature had dropped to freezing and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could from the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted in shock. When my knees buckled under me, I knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first, but I wanted her out of the cold and back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea how far the car might be, only knew that it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrist hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laying next to her, she said little, gasping between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep and I would shake her awake, fearing that she shouldn't close her eyes if she had a concussion. She would wake in pain and start her whole painful cycle again, furious that I was the one waking her. She wouldn't let me try to cross the creek. She thought like me that the fire would go out in her sleep and she'd freeze. I didn't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that it is what she wanted. But I see now all the mistakes I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided to take away her pain, I knew I could not go on without her. I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. I'm ending my life not because of a fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole future together, every moment we could have shared. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please do not make life harder for my family. They lost a son and a daughter, the most wonderful girl in the world. Gabby, I'm sorry. I have killed myself by this creek in hopes that animals may tear me apart and that it may make some of her family happy. Please pick up all of my things. Gabby hated people who litter. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave us a comment below on your thoughts of this video. And until next time, this is UnJustified.